10 Intelligent Ways to Deal with Toxic People. Stoicism. In life, everyone inevitably encounters toxic individuals who drain our energy, introduce negativity into our daily experience, and make it challenging to maintain a calm and peaceful mindset. While many of us wish we could completely avoid such people, there are times when avoiding them is simply not possible. So, how can we effectively manage our interactions with toxic individuals without compromising our mental health and inner harmony? This is where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism comes into play. Originating in Greece thousands of years ago, Stoicism provides enduring guidance on how to face life's difficulties with resilience, reason, and inner strength. In this discussion, we will explore 12 thoughtful strategies inspired by Stoic principles to handle toxic people. These approaches range from establishing boundaries clearly to developing empathy and understanding. By adopting these techniques, you'll be better equipped to handle challenging personalities gracefully and wisely, even when dealing with coworkers, family members, or friends who bring negativity into your life. These Stoic-inspired methods aim to help you stay composed and preserve your inner peace amidst conflict and harsh interactions. If you're interested in learning how to navigate toxic relationships with the calm confidence of a true Stoic, continue reading. Let's explore these 12 insightful strategies and see how ancient wisdom can assist us in overcoming modern stressors. 1. Establish firm boundaries. One of the most crucial steps when confronting a toxic person is to set firm boundaries. This means clearly defining what behavior you find acceptable and what crosses the line. Take time to identify specific actions that bother you, such as shouting, personal attacks, persistent criticism, or attempts at manipulation, and decide whether these are unacceptable. It's essential to communicate your boundaries openly and assertively. Use direct language and employ I statements like, "I feel disrespected when you speak to me that way," or "I'm uncomfortable with shoutings." Be prepared to reinforce these boundaries if they are challenged. Calmly, you might restate your position whenever necessary. In some cases, maintaining your well-being might require distancing yourself or even ending contact if your boundaries continue to be violated. Remember, boundaries are not about trying to control others or their actions. They are about safeguarding your own limits and defining what you will tolerate in your relationships. By doing so, you teach others how to treat you and foster healthier interactions. Mastering this skill might be difficult initially, but is essential for protecting yourself from toxicity. 2. Avoid getting drawn into their drama. Toxic individuals often thrive on conflict, controversy, and negativity. They may try to provoke you into arguments, involve you in gossip, or drag you into their ongoing crises and complaints. It's important not to fall into these traps. Engaging with their drama will merely drain your energy and disturb your peace of mind. Remember, arguing with someone who is irrational only fuels their irrational behavior and leaves you more frustrated and emotionally exhausted. Instead, practice disengagement when they attempt to stir trouble. Keep your responses calm and neutral. For example, say, "I'm not going to argue about this," and then change the subject or simply walk away. If they start sharing gossip or negativity, politely shut it down with statements like, "I prefer not to discuss others when they aren't here to defend themselves." By setting boundaries around these interactions and choosing not to participate, you preserve your mental clarity and emotional stability. This approach helps you maintain control over your reactions and avoids giving toxic people the satisfaction of upsetting you. When it comes to managing your energy and focus, it's essential to recognize that you don't have to overlook genuine concerns or avoid disagreements altogether. However, it's crucial to distinguish between constructive problem-solving and unnecessary drama. Learning to identify this difference can help you conserve your time and energy for discussions that truly matter, rather than engaging in toxic arguments that lead nowhere. By choosing not to participate in negativity, you maintain your dignity and peace of mind, effectively diminishing the power of toxicity in your life. This can be particularly challenging, especially when someone is pushing your buttons, but stepping back from the situation is one of the most effective strategies for dealing with toxic individuals. Protecting your inner calm is vital. Next, let's explore the concept of emotional detachment. Imagine you're confronted with a toxic person who is unleashing a barrage of negativity, criticism, and hurtful remarks. It can feel as though they are throwing poisonous darts at you, and your instinct might be to let each one penetrate your emotional state. But what if you could cultivate a kind of superpower that shields you from these toxic attacks? This is where emotional detachment comes into play. Emotional detachment is a skill rooted in Stoic philosophy. It doesn't mean becoming a cold, unfeeling individual. Rather, it involves establishing a healthy psychological distance from the toxic behavior of others. It's about understanding that their negativity stems from their own internal struggles and does not define your self-worth. Visualize yourself wearing an invisible suit of emotional armor. When the toxic person begins their tirade, picture their words striking your armor and bouncing off, leaving you unharmed. Remind yourself that their behavior is about them, not you, and that you don't need to take it personally. Think of it like being a duck in the rain. The water simply rolls off your back, leaving you unaffected. The essence of emotional detachment lies in acknowledging negativity without absorbing it. However, it's important to note that emotional detachment is not merely a mental trick, it requires practice. This means taking a moment to pause before reacting, breathing deeply, and thoughtfully choosing your response. You can empathize with the toxic person's pain while still holding them accountable for their actions. Consider their toxicity as a hot potato they are trying to throw your way. You have the choice not to catch it. You can let it drop, recognizing it for what it is, their issue, not yours. Developing emotional detachment is akin to building a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. As you improve, you'll find that toxic interactions drain you less, allowing you to see situations more clearly and respond more effectively. Most importantly, emotional detachment is a significant act of self-care. It protects your emotional well-being from being polluted by others' negativity. While you cannot control the toxicity of those around you, you can control how much you allow it to impact you. So the next time you encounter a toxic individual, remember the power of emotional detachment. Visualize that protective armor, let their words bounce off, and choose your response wisely. Although it may not be easy, mastering this skill can profoundly change how you handle difficult relationships, equipping you with a powerful tool to manage toxicity while safeguarding your inner peace. Finally, it's vital to concentrate on solutions rather than problems when dealing with a toxic person. They often excel at dragging conversations into a whirlpool of negativity, fixating on issues, revisiting past grievances, and steering discussions toward a pessimistic outlook. However, you don't have to follow them down that dark path. Instead, you can take the initiative to be the one who focuses on finding solutions. When interacting with a toxic person, it's essential to steer the conversation in a more positive and productive direction by focusing on solutions rather than problems. This principle is rooted in Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes the importance of concentrating our energy on what we can control and change, rather than getting bogged down in what we can't. When dealing with a toxic individual, you may not be able to change their attitude or behavior, but you can control your own response and the direction of the conversation. So how do you achieve this? First, when the toxic person starts complaining or dwelling on a problem, acknowledge their feelings briefly. You might say something like, "I understand that this situation is frustrating for you." This shows that you've heard them without getting pulled into a lengthy discussion of the issue. Then, pivot the conversation towards solutions by asking questions like, "What do you think could be done to improve this situation?" Or "What's one step we could take to start addressing this problem?" By doing this, you're shifting the focus from wallowing in the problem to actively seeking solutions. Now, the toxic person may resist this at first, trying to pull the conversation back to complaining or blaming. However, stay firm in your focus on solutions. You might say something like, "I hear you, but dwelling on the problem isn't going to change it. Let's focus our energy on what we can do to make things better." If they continue to resist, you may need to set a boundary. You could say, "I'm willing to discuss solutions with you, but if you just want to dwell on the problem, I'm going to have to end this conversation." By consistently steering conversations towards solutions, you're doing a few important things. First, you're refusing to get pulled into the toxic person's negative spiral. Second, you're modeling a more constructive approach to problems. And third, you're empowering both yourself and the other person to take action rather than just complaining. This doesn't mean you'll solve every problem or that the toxic person will suddenly become a positive thinker, but by focusing on solutions, you're taking control of what you can in the interaction, and you're refusing to let toxicity dominate the conversation. Another crucial aspect of dealing with toxic people is being assertive while remaining calm. It can feel like you're walking a tightrope, as you don't want to be a doormat, letting them walk all over you, but you also don't want to sink to their level by lashing out or losing your cool. The key is to find that sweet spot in the middle, being assertive while remaining calm. This is a balancing act that takes practice, but it's a skill that can utterly transform your interactions with toxic people. Being assertive means standing up for yourself, expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs clearly and confidently. It's about setting boundaries and communicating them firmly when the toxic person is crossing a line. You might say something like, "I need you to stop speaking to me that way. It's not okay," or "I understand you're upset, but I won't tolerate being yelled at." Notice how these statements are clear and direct but not aggressive, communicating your position without attacking the other person. That's the essence of assertiveness. It's firm but respectful. Now here's the challenge. Being assertive with a toxic person can be scary, as they may react with anger, defensiveness, or manipulation. They may try to make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. This is where the second part of the equation comes in: remaining calm. It's essential to keep your emotions in check, even when the toxic person is trying to push your buttons. By staying calm and assertive, you're showing the toxic person that you won't be intimidated or swayed by their behavior. You're taking control of the interaction and setting a positive tone, which can help to de-escalate conflicts and improve communication. One of the most effective strategies for navigating difficult interactions is maintaining composure, especially when confronted with negativity. Remaining calm in the face of toxicity isn't simply about suppressing your feelings. It's a powerful statement of self-control. It demonstrates that you refuse to be manipulated by someone else's emotional state and that you won't be drawn into unproductive reactivity. In practical terms, this means consciously pausing, perhaps taking a slow, deep breath, before responding. It involves keeping your tone of voice even and your body language neutral, even if you're experiencing strong emotions internally. Crucially, it also means resisting the urge to engage when someone attempts to escalate the conflict. You might respond with a phrase like, "I recognize that you're feeling distressed, but I'm unable to continue this conversation if it involves raised voices," or, "I've clearly communicated my boundaries, and if they can't be respected, I'll need to conclude this interaction." By staying calm, you effectively deny the toxic individual the reaction they are often seeking. Many people who exhibit toxic behaviors thrive on eliciting upset, controlling others, or provoking a response. When you don't provide that reaction, it diminishes their influence and reveals the ineffectiveness of their tactics. It's important to clarify that this doesn't equate to emotional suppression or allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. Assertiveness, the ability to express your needs and feelings honestly, is vital, but it should be done in a measured and controlled manner. Think of it like a strong oak tree weathering a storm. The winds of negativity may buffet you intensely, but you remain firmly rooted, steady, and resilient. You may bend, but you won't break. Cultivating this balance of calm assertiveness is a valuable skill when dealing with challenging personalities, allowing you to protect your boundaries without succumbing to chaos and, ultimately, to respect yourself. Furthermore, consider limiting your exposure to toxic influences. Imagine two groups of people. One consistently radiates negativity, constantly complaining, criticizing, and creating drama, while the other exudes positivity, offering encouragement and support. The choice of where to invest your time is clear, and this aligns with a core Stoic principle for managing interactions with toxic individuals. While complete avoidance isn't always possible, these individuals might be colleagues, family members, or even friends. You do have control over the amount of time and energy you dedicate to them. Your time and energy are finite resources. Every moment spent with someone who drains you is a moment lost that could be spent with someone who uplifts you. Every ounce of energy expended on managing their negativity is energy diverted from your own personal growth and well-being. To limit exposure practically, begin by establishing clear boundaries around your interactions. If you must work with a toxic person, keep conversations focused solely on the task at hand and politely disengage when the discussion veers into negativity. If the toxicity stems from a family member, consider limiting the duration of visits or establishing specific topics you're unwilling to discuss. Secondly, be deliberate about who you choose to spend your time with. Prioritize relationships with individuals who inspire you, support you, and make you feel good about yourself. Surround yourself with positivity. The more you fill your life with encouraging influences, the less space there is for toxicity to take root. This doesn't necessarily mean severing ties with toxic people entirely, unless that's essential for your well-being, but it does mean being mindful of how much of yourself you offer. It's about achieving a healthy equilibrium in your relationships. Consider your life as a garden. You carefully choose what you cultivate and protect it from harmful influences. Toxic individuals can be likened to weeds in a garden. If you allow them to flourish, they will dominate and suffocate the healthy plants around them. However, by consistently tending to your garden, removing the weeds and nurturing the flowers, you can cultivate an environment where positivity thrives. This analogy extends to your emotional well-being. The more you focus on fostering positive experiences and limit your interactions with negativity, the more resilient and centered you will become. This resilience makes it less likely for you to get caught up in the drama and chaos that toxic people often bring. Yet, Limiting your exposure to toxic individuals is not always a straightforward task. These individuals can be quite adept at drawing you back into their orbit, often using guilt, manipulation, or simply the familiarity of old habits. Therefore, it is essential to establish a clear understanding of your personal boundaries and communicate them effectively. Additionally, surrounding yourself with positive influences is vital, as they reinforce your commitment to your own well-being. The next time you feel yourself being drawn into the sphere of a toxic person, remember this piece of Stoic wisdom: limit your exposure. Allow yourself the freedom to step back and invest your time and energy in places where they are valued and reciprocated. Prioritize interactions that uplift you and enhance your sense of self-worth and satisfaction in life. This principle, while simple, can have a profound impact. By being intentional about where you direct your energy, you reclaim control over your emotional landscape, creating space for positivity to thrive and bolstering your resilience against life's inevitable challenges. Embrace this Stoic approach and observe how it transforms the dynamics of your relationships and your overall life, steering you toward greater peace, joy, and fulfillment. Another important strategy is to lead by example. In the complex process of managing interactions with toxic individuals, one often overlooked yet powerful approach is to embody the change you wish to see. This principle is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, emphasizing that the most effective way to influence others is to exemplify the virtues you want to promote. Consider a scenario where you find yourself in a workplace rife with gossip, negativity, and disrespect. It can be all too easy to get swept up in that environment, responding to a snide remark with a cutting comment of your own or meeting rudeness with similar behavior. But what if you chose a different path? What if you responded to toxic actions with unwavering kindness, respect, and professionalism? When you lead by example, you create a striking contrast. Your actions serve as a mirror reflecting back to the toxic individual the consequences of their behavior. By responding to negativity with calm professionalism, you highlight the inappropriateness of their actions. When you counter disrespect with steadfast respect, you demonstrate the strength of taking the high road. However, leading by example extends beyond just dealing with toxic people. It involves cultivating a personal code of conduct that governs your interactions with everyone. It means making a conscious choice in every situation to embody the values you cherish. Practically, this looks like treating everyone with kindness, even when they are unkind to you. It involves speaking respectfully, even when others resort to disrespectful language, and maintaining your professionalism in the face of unprofessional behavior. This approach does not mean being a doormat or tolerating abuse. You can still establish boundaries and advocate for yourself, but you do so in a manner that aligns with your values. Communicate your boundaries firmly yet respectfully and stand your ground. Grounding yourself with dignity and poise and leading by example is about embodying the change you wish to see. It's about recognizing that while you can't control others, you can control yourself. By consistently demonstrating positive behaviors, you create a powerful ripple effect. Imagine this: every interaction is an opportunity to plant a seed. When you plant seeds of kindness, respect, and professionalism, you never know what might grow. Your behavior might inspire others to rethink their own actions. It might encourage someone to stand up to toxicity rather than participate in it. Over time, it might gradually shift the culture of your workplace or community. Leading by example isn't always easy. There will be times when it feels like you're swimming against the tide, when your kindness is met with cruelty and your respect with ridicule. But this is where the true strength of your character shines. It's in those moments that your commitment to your values is truly tested and truly transformative. The Stoics understood that we don't control outcomes, but we do control our actions. By focusing on embodying your values, you're taking control of what you can, your own behavior, and that in itself is a profound act of personal empowerment. So the next time you find yourself in the midst of toxicity, remember the power of leading by example. Let your actions be the embodiment of the kindness, respect, and professionalism you wish to see in the world. Plant those seeds, even in the rockiest of soils, because you never know what might take root and grow. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom, being the change you want to see. It's a principle that has the power to transform not just your interactions with toxic people, but your entire approach to life. Embrace it and watch as your own steadfast example becomes a beacon of light, even in the darkest of interpersonal landscapes. When dealing with a toxic person, it can feel like you're stuck in a frustrating cycle of he said, she said. Their manipulative tactics often include denial and gaslighting, making you question your own reality. This is where the power of documentation comes in. It's a way to create a concrete record of the toxic behavior you've experienced. To effectively document incidents, be specific and detailed. Note the date, time, location, and any witnesses present. Instead of vague accusations, provide concrete examples of the behavior. Also, record your own actions, such as attempts to address the issue directly or reports to supervisors. Remember, documentation isn't about seeking revenge or catching the person in the act. It's a tool for addressing the issue through appropriate channels and protecting yourself. It's a way to stand up for the truth and refuse to let the toxic person's narrative be the only one. As a Stoic, you recognize that while you can't control the toxic person's actions or the consequences they face, you can control your own commitment to truth and integrity. Documentation is a powerful tool in this pursuit. So when faced with toxic behavior, don't hesitate to document it. Let your records be a silent witness to your experiences. By standing up for the truth, you're embodying the Stoic virtues of justice and integrity, even in the face of challenging circumstances. The Stoics understood the power of surrounding yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. Your support network can offer validation, perspective, and practical guidance when you're facing negativity from a toxic person. Building a strong support network is crucial. It can provide emotional support, help you see different perspectives, and offer practical advice on how to handle difficult situations. Seek out friends, family, mentors, or even professional help who can provide the support you need. By doing so, you're not only taking care of yourself but also strengthening your resolve to stand up to toxicity. Remember, you don't have to face toxic behavior alone. Reach out to those who can offer support and guidance, and together you can navigate through the challenges more effectively. A strong support system ensures you prioritize nurturing relationships with trusted friends, family, colleagues, or professionals who can offer guidance and encouragement. Remember, reaching out to these connections is not a sign of weakness, it's a demonstration of your strength and self-awareness. Toxic individuals thrive on isolation, so embracing support is key. By connecting with others, you reinforce your own value and remind yourself that being open to support is part of growing into a resilient individual. Seeking help isn't an act of shame, it's a sign of wisdom. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that facing challenges requires prioritizing your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Self-care is a powerful tool that builds resilience and helps you navigate difficult situations. It includes practices like nourishing your body through healthy eating, sufficient sleep, and exercise, while engaging in activities that bring joy. Emotional self-care involves acknowledging your feelings and setting boundaries around positivity to express yourself effectively. Mental self-care focuses on maintaining perspective and engaging in mentally stimulating activities such as mindfulness or challenging negative thoughts. The Stoics believe that cultivating discipline through techniques like negative visualization and self-reflection transforms self-care into a priority. Start small, like taking a short walk, writing a gratitude journal, or deep breathing to nurture yourself daily. Self-care isn't selfish, it honors your needs and supports your overall well-being. Recognize that choosing how to respond to toxicity begins with self-compassion. In doing so, you become a stronger, more balanced person. Your foundation of resilience empowers you to thrive despite negativity. This is the power of Stoic self-care. If you found these lessons resonant today, feel free to discuss them further in the comments. We welcome conversations with great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. Join us in exploring how self-care becomes your secret weapon against negativity. Subscribe to our newsletter for more insights and connect with others who embrace Stoicism.